Hi, my name is Naseem. In this video, I'm going to cover data security module. This module also available on other tools as well. Protect your Salesforce data, administer Salesforce from anywhere during COVID-19, admin intermediate and developer beginners. The data security module divided into total 7 units. Overview of data security, control access to the org, control access to objects, control access to fields, control access to records, create a role hierarchy, define sharing rules. Learning objectives. After completing this unit, you will be able to explain the importance of giving the right people access to the right data, list the 4 levels at which you can control data access, describe a typical scenario for limiting data access at each of the 4 levels. Choosing the dataset each user or group of users can see is one of the key decisions that affect the security of your Salesforce org or app. Once you have designed and implemented your data model, give some thought to the kinds of things your user are doing and the data they need to do it. Let's say you are building a recruiting app to help manage open positions, candidates, and job applications. You will have to store confidential data such as social security numbers, salary amounts, and applicant reviews that only some type of user should see. You will want to secure the sensitive data without making life harder of recruiters, hiring managers, and interviewers. With the Salesforce platform flexible, layered sharing model, it is easy to assign different data sets to different sets of users. You can balance security and convenience, reduce the risk of stolen or misused data, and still make sure all users can easily get the data they need. The platform makes it easy to specify which user can view, create, edit, or delete any record or field in the app. You can control access to your whole org, a specific object, a specific field, or even an individual record. By combining security controls at different levels, you can provide just the right level of data access to thousands of users without having to specify permissions for each user individually. Note, although you can configure the security and sharing model entirely using the user interface, the model works at the API level. That means any permission you specify apply even if you query or update the data via API calls. The security of your data is protected regardless of how users get to it. Levels of data access. You can control which user have access to which data in your whole org, a specific object, a specific field, or an individual record organization. For your whole org, you can maintain a list of authorized users, set password policies, and limit logins to certain hours and locations. Objects. Access to object level data is the simplest things to control. By setting permissions on a particular type of object, you can prevent a group of users from creating, viewing, editing, or deleting any records of that object. For example, you can use object permissions to ensure that interviewers can view positions and job applications but not edit or delete them. Fields. You can restrict access to certain fields even if a user has access to that object. For example, you can make the salary fields in position object invisible to interviewer but visible to hiring managers and recruiters. Records. You can allow particular users to view an object but then restrict the individual object records they are allowed to see. For example, an interviewer can see and edit her own reviews but not the reviews of other interviewers. You can manage record level access in these 4 ways. Organization-wide defaults. Specify the default level of access users have to each other's records. You use org-wide sharing settings to lock down your data to the most restrictive level and then use the other record level security and sharing tools to selectively give access to other users. Role hierarchies give access for users higher in the hierarchy of all records owned by users below them in the hierarchy. Role hierarchy don't have to match your organization chart exactly. Instead, each role in the hierarchy should represent a level of data access that a user or group of users needs. Sharing rules. Sharing rules are automatic exceptions to organization-wide defaults for particular group of users so they can get to records they don't own or can't normally see. Sharing rules like role hierarchy are only used to give additional user access to records. They can't be stricter than your organization-wide default settings. Manual sharing allows owners of particular records to share them with other users. Although manual sharing isn't automated like or wide sharing settings, role hierarchies or sharing rules, it can be useful in some situations, such as when a recruiter going on vacation needs to temporarily assign ownership of a job application to someone else. Note: controlling data access with the Salesforce platform. Make a table of various type of users in your organization. In the table, specify the level of access to data that each type of user of each object and for each and for fields and records within the object. You can then refer to this table as you set up your security model. Auditing system use. Auditing provides important information for diagnosing potential security issues or dealing with real ones. Someone in your organization should audit regularly to detect potential abuse. Look for unexpected changes or pattern of use. Links are provided in the video description. Record modification fields. All objects include fields to store the name of the user who created the record and who last modified the record. This provides some basic auditing information. Login history. You can review a list of successful and failed login attempts for the past 6 months. For more information, the monitor login history link has provided. Field history tracking. You can turn an auditing to automatically track changes in the values of individual fields. Although field level auditing is available for all custom objects, only some standard objects allow it. For more information, see field history tracking. Setup trail logs when modifications are made to your organization configuration. For more information, see monitor setup changes.